Today, our guest is June Montgomery-Andersen. She's worked at Family Resource Agency for over 27 years, and she's embarked on a new hobby as a writer. And I'm very interested in talking to her about her new book, her first book, actually. It's going to be a great discussion. Now, I've had James Anderson on here. He's a good friend of mine. Does he come around anymore?
He does. He does come and visit. Not a lot, but he does. He's been enjoying his retirement. He's been traveling around and he hikes.
Hikes a bunch, doesn't he?
Yes, so he's been enjoying his retirement, him and Phyllis has. And I'm happy that they're getting the opportunity to travel all over the United States and enjoy that.
On the Courthouse Square at 30 2nd Street is the law firm of Logan Thompson Law. Since 1965, they have served the legal needs for the good citizens of Cleveland-Bradley County. If you've got a problem, they're no problem. Give them a call.
Will he come by roughly once a week or once a month?
It's not that regular. It's, it's several times a year. He'll drop in and say hello to Paula, who is the new CEO, Paula Bacon. So,
What's your main job there?
I have a long title. My title is Family Services Health and Nutrition Coordinator, and I supervise that area, and it's basically a lot of social work. So the employees, they have a degree in social work. So,
Has your job evolved over the years? I'm sure it has, right?
oh, absolutely, absolutely. I started out in a classroom because we do have, Family Resource Agency has, it's like an umbrella, and it has the Georgia Head Start, Early Head Start and Pre-K. It has the Harbor House, and then it has the Tennessee Head Start, Early Head Start and Pre-K. And I am over working with the families because we take a holistic approach to just not work, the children need their education, and we do have curriculum. It's a great education, a program for education and preparing them for kindergarten. But we also work with the families, and in my capacity, we help the families with whatever resources that Cleveland has to help them with any need that they may have. And it's really a great program. And Cleveland is a great place to have the program because Cleveland has so many resources that helps families.
More so than maybe Athens or somewhere?
Yes, because we are over Bradley County, Polk County, we've got a place in Polk County, McMinn County, and Meigs County. So I'm over all of those with over 500 families.
Golly.
We get fully enrolled.
Does it get overwhelming?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It does because, you're pulled in a lot of different directions, with helping the children and the families. We serve families that's poverty and below, and we give them a hand up and help them in every possible way, setting goals with the families, such as, they want to continue school or they want to find an apartment, because we do work with homeless families, find them an apartment or a place to stay and live. Jobs, we help them with jobs, finding one and how to complete a resume. And we take that holistic approach.
Boy, that would be daunting to me.
At first it was, I guess you have to kind of get a thick skin, because at first when I started, I would take a lot home with me and worry about the children and, you know, even the families. And so it is, but as I grew and in my position, I can separate it to a certain extent. There's certain children or families that stays on my mind, but I separate because I've got to give my family time.
Do you think kids are more resilient than people give them credit for?
Oh, absolutely.
No matter the situation?
It's amazing how children will bounce back. It really is. And they're little sponges and they learn so much. Yes, I mean, we have children that their language is only Spanish, and by the time they get out of our classrooms, they know they're not proficient in English, but they pretty much get the
They'll start telling the parents what people are saying, won't they?
We've had children translate for their parents.
You know,
Absolutely.
if I was a Hispanic, that'd be my main thing, is to learn English.
Yes, yes. And we do have, Cleveland, Bradley County has a English as a second language program that we refer our families to also.
Can you speak much Spanish?
I used to, a tiny bit. I did take Spanish in high school and in college, but that's been so long ago. If you don't speak it every day and hear it every day, you lose what you
forget, I guess.
Yes, you do.
You're originally from Bradley County, right?
Yes, I'm a native here.
Who were your parents?
My parents were Clarence and Esther Montgomery, and my mom passed in 2020, and my dad, the first anniversary of losing him is July the 4th.
Boy.
Yeah.
It's too close, isn't it?
It is. It is. But I grew up in the church arena. I've been in that arena my entire life. I've been in a lot of ministry, different areas of ministry, and I've got that instilled in me. So I continue that, and now I am moving into, to me it's a ministry, moving into another new exciting part of ministering to people.
What inspired you to write a book?
Well, I'd say about 6-7 years ago, I never would think that I would write a book, but then I do believe that it was placed in my heart to write one, but I didn't know what or when. So I started researching, because I knew it needed to be a Christian book. I started researching in the Bible.
Well, why did you think it needed to be a Christian book?
Because it was in my heart, and also I feel like we need to get back to the basics, because post-COVID, the percentage of people that attend church has dropped, and this is just back to the basics, what Christianity is about from start to finish, and it's just the basic. It's not getting into a lot of detail as far as describing the ministries you can get into. It just points you in that basic level of being a Christian.
So the name of the book is Being a Christian. I've looked. Is it for sale on Amazon, or where do you have it?
It is on sale at Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
I don't have a picture of it.
I have them.
Let me see
Here's
that.
the book.
Yeah. Can you get that, Gwen? Sorry. Back to the basics. Now, there are other books named Being a Christian.
I'm sure there is, but you have to look to make sure that you're not
But
taking
this-
someone else's.
This back
job.
to the basics is separates it, I think, from others, right?
Yes, it separates it from the others.
What religion did you mainly grow up in?
I grew up when I was really small, I was Baptist, and then when I got older, I changed over to Church of God. I am a member of North Cleveland, and I've been Church of God forever.
Isn't it funny that we say that we use the term, what religion are you? Mm-hmm. And when really, a follower of Christ, right? But we've designated ourselves by saying, what religion are you? I ask you what religion you are, and you've written a book on being a Christian. I should know that. But that's in us to ask which.
It is.
You ever wonder what the difference between a religion and a cult was?
Well, the one thing that I did study when I was in college, took world religion twice because that was my favorite class. So I took the first part and the second part of it in college. And the one thing that I've learned with the different religions all over the world is that everybody has their higher power. Everybody has a higher power that they believe in, regardless of what religion it is. But in the South, a lot, or as far as me, I can speak for me, my higher power is God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit, the Trinity. That's my...
I always thought a cult was usually worshiping somebody that was alive, and religion was worshiping somebody that was dead.
A cult is, I'm sure you've heard of several different cults. There was, Jim Jones a long, long time ago.
That's where they get the term drinking the Kool-Aid,
yes, drinking the Kool-Aid. And then I cannot remember his name, but he was in Waco, Texas, and there was actually a movie about him.
Yeah, what was the name of that guy? David Koresh, yeah.
Yes, David Koresh. And, and that ends up sad. And to me, that is a cult, when you put your belief in a person that's alive and, follow them and whatever they tell you to do and whatever they tell you, the meaning of things, you believe that. But the Bible also tells us to discern the spirits of things and you have discernment on what is right and wrong on your own, and your relationship needs to be between you and God and the Holy Spirit inside of us, and of course Jesus. He is the one who took all of our sins. So
do you think the book? What's the premise that just what being a Christian means to you, or what it's about?
The book that I wrote, it would fit because I have been visiting a lot of different churches, a lot of different denominations, and the concept of this book would fit just about a good percentage of Christians, because it can also become a Bible study, and you can dig deeper into what you would feel that the Bible, which is a living word, it's a living word, and each time you read it, it changes to me according to what I'm needing at that time in my life.
You think it's living in the... You mean it seems to evolve into what you're needing out of it at the time?
Yes, and doing this book, I read through it from cover to cover twice taking notes and working through it. And this book basically starts out with like John 3:16, you know, how if you, for God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish. And it starts out you know, you're accepting Christ as your Savior, and then it talks about being baptized. But also in the book, and I'm going to give some stuff away, in the book, I also reference where when Jesus was on the cross, you had one man that was a thief, and the other man, he was being punished for a crime, and one of them kept taunting him, saying, you know, if you're the king, if you're the savior, you're the Messiah, then you can get yourself off of the cross. And the other one said, remember me when you get to glory. And he told him, you will be with me when I go to heaven. So, you know, there's things that you really can look into, and you can get meaning and dig so deep. That's why I say it's a living word. You dig so deep into it that, you know, you really get a lot out of it and what is being said to us. So, and a lot of it sometimes helps us in a time of need. And that's why I say it's a living word, because no matter how many times you read it, you always get nuggets from it. No matter how many times you read it over and over, each time you read it, there's a nugget that comes out of the Bible that helps us to grow.
So you're taking it more as, instead of sitting down and just studying it and dissecting it, but just reading it and letting it tell you what it wants to tell you at that particular time in your life, maybe?
Yes, and also I'm a researcher. I love to research things that I want to learn. You never get too old to learn. And so I did dig into the Word and researched it, but also that is an easy read, and it is, like I said, it's back to the basics, you know, of being being saved, baptized, finding a church of your faith, and having a church family, getting involved in the church. You know, then it talks somewhat about communion, what it represents, and maturing as a Christian and getting involved into your church, and being a servant, and wherever God takes you in ministry, that's, as you grow, that's where you go.
Do you find that some of these families that you work with, that religions, no matter what the faith, that they fare better, or is there any correlation between that and the ones that don't?
Are you asking, like, if bad things happens to those that's not?
No, if good things happen to those that are. Or is there a peace?
Yes, there's a
I guess.
peace, and there's blessings, and the blessing could be.
But you've noticed there's a significance.
Yes, because when I'm going through something that's hard to go through, like the loss of my father, that hope and faith that I have in my heart with God helps me it gives me strength and helps me to move on.
If a person didn't have that, it would really, those times would be hard on them, wouldn't they?
I really believe that.
Thinking that there's no hope.
Yes, I think everybody needs hope. It's when you lose hope, I feel like that, that's where a lot of depression and a lot of other things could possibly come from, is not having hope for a better future, hope, and there's promises in the Bible, and I do discuss that in my book, that, God, we need to have hope because God blesses us, and the Bible has so many blessings from God that He has promised His children, and that's where I get my hope and my faith. No matter what, I keep my faith, and you don't as humans, we don't have a lot of faith in stuff we can't see. But I know He's in my heart, and I have that faith to guide me where I'm at and to take me where I need to go. And a lot of where we're at depends on the environment we grew up with, the situations that we went through in life, and stuff. That also, gets us to where we're going, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that is something that God, like if you've had a bad childhood, that's not something that God wants for His children. But, things happens that devastates Christians and non-Christians, and my faith pulls me through a lot of things that I go through.
Boy, if you didn't have that, it would really be tough, wouldn't it?
It would. It really, really would. And God answers prayers. Prayer and language, prayer and having that communication with God is very, very important. And my communication with God is basically like talking to my dad, my father. When I ask Him for something, my family, to help them or whatever I'm praying for at the time, someone in the church or whatever. I feel like that, that faith and God's timing, the prayers are answered, but sometimes the prayers that He answers, the answer is no, not at this time, no, because, God knows where He wants us at what time, and His time is perfect. And even if it's the 11th hour, He will answer that prayer when you need it the most.
Remember that country music song, Thank God for Unanswered Prayers? Who sung that?
I cannot remember. I did not listen to a lot of country. I grew up loving the music of, when I was younger, of the late 70s, early 80s.
So that would be, let me guess, don't tell me. That would be, I'm real good at music. That would have been Crosby, Stills, and Nash, maybe?
Yeah, and you've got Def Leppard, and
Bread?
I
Remember
think
Bread?
so.
Brandy?
Brandy. There's a lot of them.
So your Def Leppard was more early. Well, they was like 80.
Yes. Bon Jovi, and there's several others that I enjoy listening to, but also the Christian music that I enjoy listening to. My favorite, of course, is Crowder, We the Kingdom, and they have more of that, I guess, a rock concept.
Yeah.
So that the younger generation can relate.
Did Amy Grant start that?
I think she did.
She basically did, didn't she?
Yes.
She brought it into popularity or something.
Yes, I think she did. Absolutely.
Well, I like that song she had. What was that first hit she had? One Way Ticket.
Yes, I
Is
think.
that the name of the song?
One
Way
Ticket.
Ticket on a westbound train.
Yes.
See how far I can go?
Yes.
Well, I've got a good memory, don't I?
You do.
It's unbelievable.
You do.
Yeah, I remember her and Debbie Gibson. Debbie Gibson came later, though. I think they both started out religious music. But it's hard for me to listen to religious music in pop, with pop rhythm. It just doesn't seem right to me for some reason. I guess I'm more used to the old hymnals.
Well, that's how I grew up.
Yeah.
The red hymn book.
The red hymnals, yeah.
Yeah, and I still love that music, you know. But I do enjoy, and I listen to Crowder, Re the Kingdom, Taya, a lot of the Matthew West.
That's what my dentist listens to. He listens
Yes.
to all that stuff. He knows the names and everything.
So, yeah. And I think some of my favorite, though, which is kind of tones it down from the rock or the pop, is Crowder, the Red Letters. You know, and he plays. And I love the sound of a piano. I love that sound. There's just
With gospel?
yes, with any music, because it sounds so good, and I'm trying to think. I like it better than the keyboard. It's just the sound of it. It's just actually, I think it's very classy. You know, no matter what you're singing.
Yeah, it's different than a keyboard, isn't it? A piano.
It is the sound of it. And then one of my other groups that I like to listen to is Pentatonics, and they sing a cappella, so they do not have music. And so.
Remember when Barney on Andy Griffith sung a cappella?
Oh, yes.
He said, Barney, what would you do if I told you to sing a cappella? Who was that? Rafe Hollister he was talking to?
Yeah, that's. Yeah.
It's so funny, isn't it? Isn't it funny that everybody knows that, just about every scene of that show? I mean,
know.
everybody.
I know.
And you knew it right off.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing, but, you know, it was a good show, family show.
Well written.
Yes,
I mean-
yes. And I do love well-written articles,
Yeah.
books, or even
Did you have
shows.
English in school for writing?
Yes, I did, but I think a lot of my writing really started developing in at work, because we have so many things we have to document and write, and
Like grants and stuff? Or
Yes.
do you
yes.
write some grants? Or do you just write the internal stuff, I guess?
Well, I do the internal stuff, and I add to, you know, some of the stuff that they ask for in the grants. But I have helped me and a team of 2 others several years ago write a grant, and we did get the early Head Start. That's when we got the early Head Start. And we got some extra classrooms for 3-year-olds. And of course, we have pre-K.
What did you do before Family Resource?
Oh gosh, I don't know if I'm still grown up, because now I'm starting a new adventure, but in my previous life, I was in restaurant work, owned a restaurant actually. And
In Cleveland?
Yes.
Do we want to discuss that? What?
Well, the first one was on Spring Place Road. It was Big Burger,
Let's see,
the
hang on.
trailer.
Yeah, on the corner of Durkee and Spring Place. Isn't that Tony Patterson's place now?
I think
His wife?
Yes, it's been forever since we've had.
Yeah, they
that
say they got
place.
good hamburgers now. So you had that one?
Oh yes, I was like in my
That's when people walked up to the.
window.
To the window.
Yes, and
Did you have the one in at the junction on Highway 60, or was that was very similar, right?
Yes, it was. Then the other one is, it used to be one at the farmhouse on Georgetown.
Oh, is that right?
We had that one, and
I eat there. I still eat there.
yeah, we had that one, and then I decided it was time to do something else, and I ended up with my beautician license. Did that a short time, but not a long time. Then I decided on another path, and I got my EMT license, and I was like, yeah, I need to, make a little more money because I have children, and and I have things I want to do in life. And so then I went back to school, and I already had my 2-year degree at Cleveland State in medical assistant. But I transferred over into business, and I went to Bryan College and got my undergraduate and my master's, and I did the Excel program so that it did not take me as long to get my bachelor's and master's.
Can anybody take the Excel program? Why would anybody take the longer term when they could take the shorter term?
Well, we had class, when I was doing it, we had class a Saturday every week, so it was all day, and we had so many so many things that we studied to excel, that would have been the classes you had to take.
Wouldn't the test be harder if you didn't have time to study and all that stuff?
I had to make time. I'd stay up to 12, 1 o'clock at night. I've been on vacations, and when I got into the room or wherever even if I'm cruising, I'd sit and write my papers. And I had to write a lot of papers. Then, at Bryan College, we had Bible classes, and I had to write papers on the apostles and, several books that they gave us that we had to read and write a paper on. So,
boy, you can do a lot of continuing education, don't you?
oh yes, gosh, I keep telling myself if I would have stayed with one path, I could have probably been a doctor or in any other profession if I'd not have taken, well, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that.
Well, that keeps it exciting, right?
It does. It
Variety
does.
is the spice of life, right?
Absolutely.
That's not in the Bible, is it?
No, it's
I don't
not.
think that was in.
No, it's not.
What was your writing process for the book? Did you go into a room where you could be quiet, or how did you do it?
Well, I did it, in a room. Basically, when I worked at home, I had my room that I would go in and work. When I would take some vacation time, because my husband, he is in sales, and he would travel all over the United States, and I would take time off to go to the good places that he would have to go. And I think in Las Vegas, he was at a big conference there, and I had my free time, and we was really up on the top floor of I'm wanting to think it's the Wynn Hotel, and big picture window looking out over the city, and I love windows and being able to see out. And I sat there by myself, and he was at his conference, and I wrote a lot of it there.
So you're sitting in Las Vegas looking over Sin City writing a book about being a Christian.
I was, but it was.
I'd be playing blackjack.
Well, I can't. I can play blackjack, but I don't really care for it. I can play poker, and I'm pretty good at poker, But
You know the odds when you're playing? The odds of if you got a pair or straight?
Not right off the top of my head, but yeah, you've got to bluff sometimes. Mm-hmm. You got to have that poker face, and actually, I was in a group that played poker here in Cleveland, but it was at points.
Oh,
Just,
yeah. Was that on Spring Place or Wildwood?
No, actually, they met at several restaurants, and Los Mas was one of them that we'd meet. And according to my points, and it was like a season thing, I actually was the season winner.
Is that right?
And got the little medallion that said I was the season winner, but I got burned out on it because, I'm just not.
If you're not going to win any money, what's the point, really?
Really, it is. And I'm not much of a gambler either because I like tangible stuff that I can buy and feel, touch, have. I don't like just giving my money, that I've worked hard for, losing it. So I'm not really big in gambling.
Do you think that we have to do acts to be forgiven for our sins, or do you think that
Well,
more or less grace?
Well, I believe in grace, and I do believe that we need to, there is, Moses, he had the Ten Commandments. But when Jesus in the New Testament, and I believe that we're living in the New Testament, and the Old Testament teaches us a lot, but we're under the New Testament, which is under grace. But I ask for forgiveness and I humble myself when I feel like I'm wrong. And, and that's that little voice inside that tells us that, that's not quite right, And my thing is, we're not perfect, we're human, but we're under grace. And I believe in Jesus as my Savior. And I pray, for forgiveness if I really feel like I've done something wrong. And I try hard to do what's right and what Jesus said, when he talked about the Ten Commandments. And I just know I'm not perfect. And
The Ten Commandments were under the law of Moses, right? Mm-hmm. So are the Ten Commandments under the New Testament?
Jesus does talk about the commandments, of loving your
But he
neighbor.
he doesn't necessarily reference what Moses brought down.
He don't, not in the writings of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and John. He does, when they were writing Jesus' time on earth, they did not mention Moses and the Ten Commandments in the New Testament, but Jesus said, we need to follow the commandments. And then he listed those, or
Did he list all
those.
10 of them?
Pretty much, yeah. I'm trying to think. Yeah, he did. He did. And if it wasn't in where he was talking about the Ten Commandments, it is during his life of teaching of how we should, follow after what God does, tell us to do. So,
On the Sermon on the Mount, he pretty much just preached grace.
He did. He did. I am doing a study in Revelations, and I've realized that the Jesus that was on earth and preaching at the Mount of Olives and everywhere, that in Revelations you see Jesus in a different light of him being, the King of Kings, the I am, the I am, the I will, I was the Alpha, Omega. You see all of that when, you read what he teaches, which is in red. Everything that's in red is what he taught.
Remember that's the other country music song, The Letters Written in Red? Brooks and Dunn?
Yes.
Was a good song,
It
wasn't it?
was. It really was. I enjoyed that song.
I don't know if that ever became a top 10 hit or not, do you? I just know a lot of people liked it.
Yeah, I don't remember it becoming a top 10, but people did like it.
I remember, did the Bible still have them written in red, what Jesus said? Some don't do that.
No, it depends on, I'd say pretty much King James Version, that would be in red, but it determines on, if you get the New International Version, they're not in red. So there's different Bibles that they're not in red.
Who was it wrote Revelations? Was it
John?
John?
Yeah, John, he, they tried to kill him quite a few times, but they finally put him on an island by himself. And that was when he went up into heaven and saw heaven. And, he described it. And the first several chapters, there's a lot of red where Jesus addressed the 7 churches. He interpreted it, and it's still a mystery to me studying it because, I didn't go to theology school or anything like that. And Revelations can be scary to me. It can be scary. And it really, going through what I've been, reading what I'm reading and everything, it has really humbled me and scared me. And I'm not talking about I'm scared of Jesus or anything. It's just some of the stuff, the mystery of it.
I don't understand Revelations at all.
It's hard. It's a hard book to understand, and I think that's the scary part with me.
I think it's not talking about the future, but the past. It's my thought, my take.
And
which is different than everybody else's.
That's interesting because I have a good friend, and that's how she felt. That Revelations was
already revealed.
Yeah. So that is very interesting. But it's good that we get what we get individually out of the Bible. And that's why, again...
You think it really, really reads to some people different than to others?
I do. I do believe that, again, that whatever season, it's a living word, whatever season of life you're in, no matter how many times you read it, you see something new. There's something new there that you did not get the first time you read it. So I do believe that it is a living word.
Was this writing and getting it published harder than you thought?
Yes, it took me, I would say, 3 years to actually write it, and it is not a very thick book. It took me about 3 years, and I realized what writer's block means.
Just get to where you just can't think?
Yeah,
Can you imagine writing War and Peace or something?
Oh, my.
Take forever, wouldn't it?
It would, and yes, absolutely. And then it took a year to publish it because we went through editing it 3 different times. And then, of course, the creating the artwork on the front cover, and then actually getting the printed copy. It took a year, and this book hasn't been out very long at all. And I just got my shipment in to take to J-Fest Friday.
What is J-Fest?
It is a big celebration that J103 puts on, and they do bring those Christian artists. Like last year, Crowder was there, and it was raining. It was raining, but I weathered. I went through it, and the weather like that, so I could see Crowder. And they just have some great Christian artists that comes, and I'm talking about 5 groups, different groups, and because it's then fireworks at night, but it's like an all-day thing, and you get to hear those artists that's on J103 and the other. I think it's 92, the Christian Air station. I don't listen to it a lot unless J103 is having difficulties, getting through, because sometimes they do have technology problems. But it's just and it's a Jesus fest. Actually, J-Fest. It's actually a Jesus Fest, and
Oh.
that's where they...
What will you do? Have a booth there?
Yes, I will. I will have an area to set up, and
Do you have to pay for that or what?
I did.
That's expensive?
And I'll just tell you what I paid. I paid $500 for my booth.
For what, 2 days?
No, just the entire day. Yeah.
So you got to sell how many books?
Oh gosh, I'm not sure because I've just started. I would like to sell the entire shipment. That would be wonderful.
These books are expensive to they're like, I'm guessing this is $25 or something to produce.
Well, on back, that one is $15.99.
But I mean, to produce, doesn't it cost you about, I always thought it'd be like $20 or something.
Yeah, because, you have to, first of all, I talked to several different publishers, and then I found the one I went with, which is Fulton Books.
Did you talk to Jerry Puckett by any chance?
No, I have not.
He's with, I can't think, Derek Press, Chattanooga.
Okay.
Yeah, I've had him on the show. He's a real nice, he's a real nice guy. So how did you get it on Amazon? What's the process of that?
Actually, Fulton Books got me on Amazon and Barnes & Noble, and it's going to be electronic, and also paperback, of course. And they are developing me a website that I have not got. That's how new this book is. They're developing the website for me, and the the links that they gave me to the Amazon that goes right to my book and Barnes & Noble, it's a temporary link so that I can get it out and work with social media. And also I'm set up to where I can sell and swipe. They can swipe a card. So I'm set up with all of that.
So but it's not necessarily a money thing for you.
No.
You just want to get back maybe your investment?
Well, to be honest with you, I feel like this is a ministry, and if I don't get back my money, that I'm investing in people, and I'm investing in people reading it and developing that relationship, which is just the basic things in the Bible with God, and hopefully touching lives that may not really understand the Bible or God, or what direction when you walk into a church and you hear that sermon that really wants you, helps you to change. Then where do I go from there? How do I develop this relationship? Or someone that's a mature Christian that's had that relationship forever, because I got saved in 1974 on my back porch with my dad reading the Bible and telling me about God. And I really miss him in those talks that we would have every week, and he would call me every day. But I continued, and of course, again, I'm not perfect. I've strayed, but I've always came back because of that seed that my dad planted in me. And so I want other people to have this book if it will help them go back to the basics of what you do when you're a Christian. And even for me, I went back to the basics when I did the research to develop my relationship and get a better understanding of God by studying and researching. And that book, you can study and research. It can be a study guide the way I laid it out for them to print.
So maybe it's boiled down, simplified?
It is. It's simplified because I don't know how many people enjoy reading anymore as far as paperback, so that's why it's electronic. But it's simplified for anyone that may not understand. And it's hard understanding the Bible because of the mysteries that, what is God wanting me to get out of this?
If you weren't raised in the church, you might not know you can just walk into a church.
Absolutely, you
I
can.
had never thought about that, but you might not even, you might think it's members only, or
Yeah.
or
And,
you got to be asked, or don't know anybody, or I never thought about that.
And it's hard when you walk into a church not knowing anybody. Because when I was doing the research for this, I visited a lot of churches and just listened to their ministry. And actually, I visited a church that's it's basically like Church of God, but it's a Ukrainian church and they teach in their language, and I had to have a translator to translate the language for me. And, I wanted this book to be able to, that it's many denominations that believes in, that path, but they may have some other things that they believe in or don't believe in.
Was the Ukrainian church, was they pretty much same belief as Church of God?
It was really close.
What was much difference at all? Anything significant?
Well, the one thing that really touched me was when I walked in, I saw all the women with these real beautiful scarves covered. They covered their hair and head. And I went up and spoke to one of them and asked them, do I need to do that? And they said, well, not necessarily. And I said, well, why do you cover? And she said, it is to humble ourselves. And I'm talking about these beautiful scarves with these beautiful designs.
Not really humble.
Well, but, it touched me because they wanted to be humble, and they were. And then at the end, when they were closing down the services, the entire church prayed, and they would go to their knees. The entire church would be on their knees, thanking God and praying, and and just humbling themselves. And I thought that was amazing. And this one lady, she was so nice to me. She had an extra scarf, and I put it over, and I thought, man, this is a beautiful service. A beautiful service. And the church is actually here in Cleveland. And it was a beautiful service. So
I guess they had that over in Ukraine or wherever they're from. It's probably very similar.
yes, for sure.
You don't think it matters if you're that church or this religion, everybody's going to go if they're forgiven?
I believe that there's going to be people in heaven that we would not think would be there, because I believe that it's accepting Jesus Christ as your Savior and God, and just doing, trying to lead a path of being, growing with the knowledge of the Bible and that relationship with God. That relationship is very important. So,
You think it's more personal than maybe society wants us to think, that my salvation is more personal to me and yours is yours?
I do believe it's personal.
You think that's why Paul said, seek your own salvation? Isn't that what he said?
Yeah. Seek that relationship that you have. And that's where world religion comes in. I realized that, I believe in my God and Jesus and the Trinity, but I also believe that everybody has their higher power. And when I have went into different denominations, their higher power, especially here in the South, is God. And even in my husband, he's from Nebraska, and we go out there, and I go to church out there. God is the higher power here in the U.S. But we have a lot of other religions, and I do believe that their higher power is basically God.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe you need to believe. You need to have that faith and believe. But yet I don't know, because that's why I keep studying, because I feel like that, translating into the English version of the Bible, there could be some loss in translation.
Could be.
Yeah.
Maybe the basics are still there.
Yeah, for sure. And I believe that there's things that we will not know until we get in heaven.
We have so much disinformation nowadays with everything. It's making people question the Bible. I'm assuming. Wouldn't you say? If they get the stuff on Google wrong, maybe they get that wrong.
Yeah.
But you got to have faith. That's the main thing.
That's the main thing, is faith and believing and having that faith of something that you can't see, but you can feel it inside. There's
a peace that comes with it when you got it, I think.
There is. So, I do believe that. And
are you going to have a second book, or is this it, or are you going to see if you make a gazillion dollars?
No, I'm not trying to make a gazillion dollars. Like I said, I would like for the book to reach the people that really need it, and God will have that book where it needs to be, because I really believe He has blessed me enough to where I can do the book and get it out there and not worry about getting my, the return of the money I've spent or that. But I do have a second book that has came to me, and I'm not going to reveal, but it's like going with that book, another series of that book, and I've got the very hardest part completed, which is the start and the first paragraph. That is the hardest part. So yeah, I'm going to be writing another one.
How many copies did you get made of the book?
I have 100 with me right now.
So you got that, and then you get it. It can be gotten on Kindle and.
Well, not Kindle, but Amazon, and it will be electronic, but I have not got all of that information yet. But Amazon, you can order it off of Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And you could message me. I've got copies of them.
Yeah, how does people get a hold of you?
Well, they can.
Your phone number?
Yeah.
Well, you're working on the website, right?
Yes, I'm working on the website, and that will have the links that they can go directly to the book.
Well, you're on Facebook too.
Yes,
That's where
am.
It's.
And I'm posting it there. I'm working on Instagram. I'm trying to get it in, my Instagram and my Facebook viewed more, because I've kind of let that stuff go to the side.
It's hard to do, isn't it?
It is when you let it go. Yeah. Because I don't really post a lot.
Yeah, and I put this on Instagram, and it's linked to Facebook, so I don't know who's, it's not easy, this business. Well, it was easier when you just went places and tried to sell books, I guess.
But I do this for following.
I got a bunch.
I know.
Yeah, and I've got a lot of views. I get about anywhere from 20 to 60,000 a week, depending on the person that was here a couple weeks ago or something. But I don't really do it. I don't do it for the money. I got one little bitty sponsor, and that pays for the water, basically.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing it for that anyway. If I was, I wouldn't do it. It's more for, it might be a ministry in itself.
I think it is, because I think the people that you bring on, they have a lot of insight that they share. They share who they are, and they're the people. I don't know if you get anyone out of town.
Yeah, I had Leave It to Beaver here. Jerry Mathers.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, and I had a Flat Earth guy.
Yes.
Well, that was interesting.
I bet that was.
Oh, it was interesting. He makes you wonder.
Up.
I mean, really, he's got some.
Yeah.
He wasn't a dummy, that's for sure. And Flat Earth Brothers, that's their name, and or their website. But yeah, and some politicians. But I prefer politicians aren't that as good. They say, who wants to hear about politics? You hear about it all the time.
Yes.
That'd be a hard thing to do, wouldn't it? You may do that next.
No, I tried it already.
Oh, did you?
Yes. 10 years ago, I ran for county commissioner in the 4th District,
Which is where?
the Oak Grove Taylor Parkview.
Who'd you run against?
Charlotte and, the guy that's in there now that lives on 60.
Oh, L&D?
No,
Howard.
Howard,
Well,
yes.
those two tough candidates, weren't they?
They were, and it
You
was...
couldn't have picked any worse people to run against, probably, could you?
Well, they're incumbents,
Yeah.
and it's hard to beat an incumbent. And I actually lost 9 pounds because I went door to door talking to people, handing out my information, because I had printing with my cards, my family. And I was at just about every event that we had in Cleveland, and I got to know a lot of the people that's in offices now for Cleveland, and I enjoyed that. But after I encountered how it is trying to win a vote, the votes to be in a office, I felt like after that, politics wasn't something that I was supposed to do. But however, I think anything you do in life, it prepares you for what you're supposed to really do. As far as in ministry, it helped me, it helped me so that I can get out there and talk to people and, do these things so that I can get my book out. So I think it was something that I needed to do at the time, but it was more of learning how to talk with people and, and the routes you can go to, hit the population that's in Bradley County, how, you can get with them, so.
Boy, that would have been hard. Did you have, when you first signed the petition and turned it in, was that, to me, that would be one of the hardest moments. So do I really want to do this?
It was. I got all of the signatures that I needed, and I walked up there, and I knew when I turned that paper in that I needed to move forward with this campaign.
You weren't going to stop then. You couldn't. It'd be embarrassing.
It would be. I needed to move forward with the campaign. I gave it my all, and I wasn't quite there with the votes at all.
A person like that could run again and win, build on that, but that's not your thing anymore, right?
No, it's not. It's not. I don't think I would want to be in office at all,
I don't think I would either. I couldn't handle the rejection of losing.
Hey, I was a good sport. I mean, I hated that I lost. Everybody don't like losing in sports or in anything, but, you just have to chalk it up, and I felt like this was a learning, this was a place for me to learn more of contacting people and talking with people for such a time as this, my book.
Well, I think this book may do well. I'm going to read it. I didn't get a chance to read it because I didn't get a chance to order it, but
Yeah, well, you're more than welcome to have that copy.
I appreciate that.
Yes, and I'll even sign it. I might be famous one day.
Hey, you might be. I think you're famous now.
You think so?
I do. Hey, thanks for coming.
Thank
I hope you do. I really hope
letting me
success
come.
for your book.
I do.
I really do.
Hope so too.